Allina Health is proud to support your Loons as the official healthcare provider of Minnesota United. Every day, we provide expert care to keep the team in top form on match day. All across Minnesota and western Wisconsin, you can find the same dedicated providers just a short drive away. It's expert care when and how you need it. Schedule your visit at allinahealth.org today. Allina Health, all together better. Welcome back to another fantastic episode of Sound of the Loons podcast brought to you by Allina Health. We are back with the two most requested guests we've had in recent history, and that is one and only Mr. Michael Boxall and the guy between the sticks, Mr. Dayne St. Welcome to the podcast, gentlemen.
Thank you. It's been a while.
Oh, I appreciate the enthusiasm. Thank you so much.
You pumped us up. You made up some statistic about us being most requested.
To be fair, I completely did.
Last time I did a duo like this, I didn't have to say anything because Tanya spoke the whole time. So
I know.
This one goes.
I know. Well, listen, we sold one guy for a lot of money and the other stayed here with us. So it paid for the viewerships, paid for half his transfer fee. Well, welcome back, gentlemen. I haven't spoken to you, Dayne, in a very long time because you've been on the pod. And Michael, you did one a little bit mid-season-ish, I would say. Maybe a little bit before
a little first quarter of the season, maybe.
Yeah, so I appreciate you guys coming back on. The weather's a little bit different. I will say I'm going to quickly jump into fantasy football as we have two different ends of the spectrum. As my team is sinking very quickly, and Dayne, yours is. Are you in first place?
I'm currently in first.
You're currently in first.
We'll see how long we can hold on.
Is it injuries or what is it? Because your team's been rolling through things. You were 6-1, 5-1.
We're 5-2 now.
5-2.
Yeah, we're just outperforming projections every week. I go into the week of like 30% win chance and
low XG, and you just kind of
somehow we're finding a way.
And Boxy, I know you're on the waiver wire trying to make some moves. We can figure out a trade after this because my team is floundering as we speak.
My team never got afloat. I'm commissioner, so I'm like, I'm just really focusing on running the league really efficiently, and my team's struggling. Like, you can't have the commissioner winning the league, it just doesn't look right.
I did the same thing last year, which is why the league was so bad because I was focused on actually winning it, and then I ran a terrible league. And I finished pretty low. As I said, my Finnish investors were not too pleased with that. But we can transfer into the real football now. Like that transition. We've played a long season. We've had some ups, we've had some downs. We've come a long way since the beginning. We've played a few different formations. But I would say you two have been pretty steady in terms of being really with the group through the majority of that. Dayne, take us back there. And just, how you've seen the team progress. And we'll dive into some more specific sections of the season. But just, give us your synopsis of the season as a whole.
Yeah, I think we rotated a lot this year. Played a lot of different guys, especially at the back. But I think as a collective, we felt comfortable with everyone. And I think it showed in our performances, obviously keeping the ball at the back of the net. And some guys, I think, kind of took some steps up this year. And the set pieces has definitely worked, and a lot of defenders are scoring goals, which has definitely helped us to give us some confidence at the back too. So I think from all aspects, it's what we've been looking for.
So do you enjoy the role in which you have? Because the way you approach the way our team has you involved is a lot more than most other goalkeepers in the entire league, if not the entire world. Is that something you enjoy, or is it just kind of you're embracing the moment? Because you seem to be back there and really enjoying kind of being the quarterback at times when we take our goal kicks and we have some of our deep set pieces. That's something where it seems as if you enjoy having those moments.
Yeah, I think there's definitely goalies that are involved, but I think ours is a little bit different because 9 times out of 10 I'm kicking the ball long and we're trying to play in behind and win those seconds. So I think most people that are as involved as me, it's more possession based where it's a lot of short passes. So I've enjoyed it in terms of playing a different side of the game, and I think having the ball at my feet is something that's enjoyable because it keeps you engaged in the game. And when you have guys that are going to go and compete and win the second balls, and basically a lot of times it's as long as the ball goes in behind the back line, I've kind of done my job. So it makes it pretty easy in terms of what the expectation is for me, although it doesn't always look the prettiest.
Hey, it's effective, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. And one of the most effective things we have is our ability to take long throw-ins. And Boxy, I know coming into the season that probably wasn't something that I think you or myself or anyone realized how big it would become in terms of such a threat. When did you first realize that you had a long throw-in? Because I could have guessed from the appearance and how big and strong you are that you had a long throw-in, but when is this something that actually came to fruition?
When did I know I had a long throw?
When was this Adrian years, everything? Was this
probably when I was like a teenager?
Okay, so this was.
But I'm not gonna like outwardly be like, hey, let me just throw it in the box at every team I go to. You know? So it's been here 8-9 years, and it's obviously you want the bigger guys as targets in the box. That's typically my job. And when we're trying to implement the long throw, I think it was not quite like a trial period, but a few guys who were undercooking it, let's say.
DJ had a few that were not so good. Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
Nico.
So, and then I don't know how I ended up taking one, but and then it's bounced off the right heads and ends up at Anthony's feet or head.
Yeah, there you go.
It's just worked out. It's almost hilarious and comical how simple his tap-ins have been.
But
right?
so in the Adrian years, late in games, let's say you're down a goal, were you going up top or were you taking the long throw-ins? Or were you just like, hey, play the big man, flick it on? Or is it kind of, we know we have this secret asset where we can throw the ball? Or was this just, is it always just?
I think trying to chase a goal under Adrian, it was give the ball to Darwin or give the ball to Ray.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Or let Romain run down the line.
That's fair enough. And you guys are both the longest tenured players at the club, along with Hassani, I believe. So just how, we'll start with Dayne on this one. How much have you seen the club grow since your time here? I mean, this is, even when I came into the league, you guys weren't even playing at Allianz Field. You were playing at that godforsaken stadium in the football stadium where I have horrific memories. I lost every game. I lost every game by like 2 goals in that stadium. But the club's come a long way on and off the pitch. Just take us through some of your times and just your memories of just being at this point, almost a Minnesota.
Yeah, I came at the right time because it was the first year the stadium got to open.
There you go.
Obviously, we made a lot of big signings that year in terms of Ike Opara, Ozzy Alonso. So they kind of transitioned from those first rough 2 years into kind of competing, and it was the first year we made the playoffs. So I kind of came in at a great time, and I think for the most part we've been taking steps forward. But just like everyone, there's a few rough patches in the road, and just trying to iron it out. And of course, MLS, especially in the last couple of years, has really taken a step up. And I think every time a new expansion team comes in, they really set the standard of what it means, and the other teams try to do their best to catch up. And I think we've tried, but I think there's still some ways to go for us.
When you say some ways to go, is that just, we haven't won a championship, and I know that's a big one. And I think that always helps set the foundation for things. But I know that's always been a goal when you hear Dr. Bill talk, when you hear Colin talk. That's always the goal, is to build towards championships. And, you guys have helped set that foundation. You guys were you both, can you take us a little bit into, if I'm not mistaken, I want to recap a little bit. Was it 2019 or 2020? Western Conference Finals. That's the furthest the team has gone. 2020.
2019 Open Cup Final.
2019 Open Cup Final. And those have been two of some of the bigger moments in the clubs. And Dayne, were you the guy at those times? Were you still battling it out?
2019, I was in a suit in the suite watching the game. 2020, I was on the field. Yeah, that was my first year.
And how was that?
It was weird because it was COVID, so there was no one.
So that was the only thing you knew.
Yeah, I went on loan to start the year at San Antonio. Tyler decided to get hip surgery, and they called me back. And then we went on a crazy run of Darwin, Robin, and Molino just taking us through, and then me and Boxy trying to do our jobs at the back as well.
When you say do your jobs, Boxy, has it always just been very simple in terms of what some of the expectations are? Because I said this publicly, I've said this privately, is I don't think either of you, up until this year, and I'll say that publicly now, have gotten the kudos and the tip of the hat that you guys deserve, because Minnesota's not in Los Angeles, because you're not playing for Miami. Whereas a lot of the players in this market that have come through, and Robin falls under this, who's been here for a good chunk, and the Hassanis, they don't get credit because it's not a big market. So no one covers it. MLS doesn't care as much. I'm looking at you, Weeby, and all you other people out there. They don't cover it as much. And so you've just been quietly doing your job. And is that something you've ever thought about? It seems to just not bother you. You just go on as business as usual, and you've been doing it for 15 plus years.
I mean, I don't do this job for validation or to be on TV or anything. It's just I enjoy winning games. Just play my part in doing that. And so, yeah, I don't really pay attention to. I don't watch anything else going on around the league.
I watch a lot.
Somebody had to talk about it this morning to remind me that there were even games last night. So I just focused on where we're at, and obviously with the previous 8-9 months, we've put ourselves in a position that we've all kind of wanted this club to be in the past 7-8 years. And just kind of focused on the next week in this first game.
Yeah, and it must mean something different to you guys. And I'm gonna, ask you to expand upon this. But as 2 of the 3 guys who've won the captain's armband, that's not something to be taken lightly. When you get that chance and you have that honor, and whether Dayne, in your case, whether you're wearing it or not, it's something where that leadership role has been something that you've grown into, especially. But you both lead in very different ways, which I find interesting because I've been fortunate enough to play a lot of games with you guys, and I think is that something that you guys sat down as captains? Because I think, and maybe I'm overthinking this, but Dayne you're very vocal, and I love that because I'm the same way. And Boxy leads by example, and Will does maybe a little bit of both. And is this something that you guys had a conversation because you can empower each other in your own different ways?
There's definitely no conversation. I think it's just kind of naturally who we are. I mean, from the day I got here, Boxy was always a lead by example guy and someone I looked up to in terms of the way he did it. And I think my way is a little bit different in terms of the hoorah and the yelling. And I think it's sometimes in my position, you got to yell for some of the guys to hear you as well. But I think it's just our personalities, and I think it's kind of blended to have that right balance. I don't think we kind of preach the same message in different ways, and we all want to work towards the same goals, which helps and can motivate all the different guys. Because I know there's some guys, if you yell at them, they get motivated, and there's some guys got to see it as well. So I think we kind of cover all the aspects that we have.
Yeah, I've always found it interesting that everyone's coachable in their own ways, and you have to kind of figure out which buttons to push, which guys you can lay into and which ones you can't. Because I was always someone that could take a lot of criticism, which is why I gave it at times, because I was like, well, this is the way I'm cool with you giving it back. And then some people are just like, nah, dude, don't talk to me. Pull me aside, away from everyone so I don't get quote unquote embarrassed, when obviously it's not that case. But Boxy, as someone who's been here since the club's inception in MLS to now evolved into, wearing the armband and stuff, is it, from some of the captains that came before you and stuff, does it, mean a little bit more knowing you've grown with the club and not just been someone who's been a transplant? You see a lot of people go to a club when they have experience and they've been there for a year and suddenly they have the armband, or they're there for 6 months and immediately. This must probably mean something a little bit different since you've kind of grown up here. Your kids have grown up here. Your wife's been here for a bit too, right?
Yeah, obviously played here for a little while. And I think once you kind of had that kind of connection with the community and fans, I think who you're playing for kind of means a bit more. In terms of wearing the armband, I think, obviously played under a lot of different captains, and Will included as well. And I think it's great that we have so many guys who do lead in different ways. It just balances off so well. I think I wouldn't be able to do it how I do it if I didn't have Dayne, if I didn't have Will doing what they do. Looking back to 2019, I think Ozzy was one of the quieter guys, but then you have the other for sure leaders in that team who were just as important as Ozzy. I think you got Ethan Finley, Brent Coleman, kind of unsung guys who in that locker room just helped everything tick and helped keep our standards at such a high level.
The postseason is here and your Loons are ready to fly. Our official playoff hub has everything from matchup details to ticketing links and even upcoming community events, so you can stay in the loop on all things playoffs. Gear up and get ready to cheer the black and blue all the way to victory. Visit the MNUFC app or MNUFC.com for more info. I like that kind of give you fulfill a big role, and I appreciate the fact that you're giving kudos, because I do think it's this perfect melting pot of personalities, because I think that's not by coincidence, right? Because you guys can kind of pick each other up when someone doesn't have the words, or if someone isn't performing, right? Because I think you guys can kind of build each other up, and I know that you have been together and you have had to do so over the course of the year, over a course of a few years. But especially now being the leaders, having played a few different systems, I've played multiple positions within these systems, but I'm curious, Dayne, take us in the middle of, the differences that you might feel between a back four and a back five, whether it's the chances that you might get in against, or whether it's, pressing, whether it's man against man higher up on the field, so it leaves you more exposed, or if it's just, ceding space in a certain way. Does it feel that different to you? Because as a player, it felt very different for me playing in different systems, but to a goalie, does it feel that much different or not really? Or you just kind of just business as usual?
No, I think it's definitely, especially with the communication of the spacing, making sure guys are in the right areas, who's tracking runners. Obviously, when we play the five, it's normally calling in the wing back to make sure that they're narrow enough. And then when we're playing the four, it's making sure that we're shifting enough and then we have enough cover. But I think it's more so knowing where the spaces are, where we might be vulnerable, just to make sure that we're managing in terms of where we are. But I think under Eric especially, we've done a really good job, and he's really prioritized us being compact. So it obviously helps having 11 guys behind the ball more times than not. But I think it's just making sure what areas we know that we're forcing guys into, or where we're setting our traps, so that when we do press, we are successful. We're not just running around for 90 minutes and not getting any pressure on the ball.
For sure. I think the past few games, we've seen some good sides, and we've seen some places in which we need to grow. Because it's not necessarily easy to switch between the two. For example, with Boxy, having to play as a libero in the middle, then having to suddenly take that guy out. Now you're playing as a back four, having to shift. Do you feel that much different? I know you feel like a 22-year-old center back. Does it feel that much different for you in this system, or is it, you've played four all your life, it just kind of, you get back into that cruise control mode?
I'm not sure. I do enjoy, personally, obviously it depends on the matchup too. But I do prefer a back four, just because I'm more involved in it.
Yeah.
You kind of have that battle against the striker, the nine, that you can kind of assert your dominance over and affect the game that way. And then with the ball, you can play more progressive passes than you do in the middle of a five. I think when you're talking about how Dayne is on the ball so often when we're on the five, it's like, I think there's some games where he probably plays more passes than me, and he has more effect on the game with the ball than I do. So it's just much more simple. And then in that five, you're just organizing and just reading the play, and it's you don't feel as involved or getting into as many challenges, which I kind of like.
You kind of like? There you go. I can say, regardless of the formation, both of you are pretty damn good at what you do. And I've said this multiple times on air and off air, how I feel lucky that I've had the pleasure to play with both you guys, because you've been one of the better goalies and been one of the better center backs I've ever played with. And that's also something, again, I did not even think that was the case. But again, you go to Minnesota, smaller markets, and you get exposed to these pretty damn good players. There's a reason you've been all-stars and had these big moments, but again, you don't have the glitz and the glam, even though we don't care about it. But I did get a notification on my phone officially before we hop into a playoff preview. Dayne, you're up for goalkeeper of the year. Congratulations. Let me get your initial thoughts. I don't know if you knew this yet, and if you did, then I will completely be second fiddle. But I found that out as I was walking in to record the podcast. Did you know?
Yeah, I just found out as well at the same time as you. I saw they tagged me in it, so yeah.
What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think it's definitely an honor. I think especially the last time I was All-Star, the second half of my season wasn't great, so I wanted to make sure going into this year that I kept that consistent coming out of the All-Star break. And obviously not only this year, but I know it's ahead in 6 months for me, potentially at the World Cup. So I think I've been just trying to focus on these 18 months really and kind of sacrificing a lot to put myself in the best position in all aspects.
That was such a PC answer, dude. It's awesome. It for me, it validates the hard work, because Boxy he was an all-star, which should have happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you're up for this. Like, these are incredible honors, and I know there's a plethora of good players around both of you, but it really to me highlights the work I see that no one else does, the behind the scenes stuff in the locker room, after good results, after bad results. So for me, very well deserved. But for both of you, we had that moment with the All-Star, when we talked on the pitch. So I'm so happy for you guys that you're finally getting some of the recognition you deserve. And if anything, it hopefully should push you to keep wanting to do those things more, which leads me into the playoff. We got Seattle, boys. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be difficult. We did have 2 good results against them earlier in the season, Boxy, but it was 2 very hard fought games, away and at home. So just take us in your initial thoughts. We have, best of 3 series. Hopefully it doesn't have to get that long. And if we go to PKs, we have a guy in net who's pretty decent as well. But just take us in your initial thoughts against Seattle.
I think, first of all, I think it's super difficult to beat any team 3 times in a season. So we're going to have to do it 4 times this year. Both games, we were pretty on it, like both of those games, where we turned it into a match that suits us, where we're compact, it's scrappy. And I think in the home game, we scored kind of a fortuitous set piece goal. And then I think, there's a little bit of Robin magic, and in the away game where I don't know how they ended up 3-2. I feel like they had very few chances.
Nico scored a great goal. That's why.
Right.
For them, yeah.
Goal cut back. Robin hit him with the little Cruyff in the box.
But Seattle, they've got so many wily professionals that are so good at staying in games. Yeah. And obviously the way you alluded to the 2020 Western Conference Final, it's like they just do that and find ways to win games.
Yeah.
Obviously they're dealing with a lot of injuries, but they've got a deep squad as well. So I think we just got to take advantage at home. Obviously, Galaxy game aside, we've been pretty strong the last couple months, and just need to carry that and obviously have our home crowd behind us.
Yeah, Dayne, what's it like playing another playoff game at home, dude? These are the best.
Yeah, I think it's everyone's favorite time of the year. Obviously, it's not fully win or go home in this first round, but I think it's a different environment, it's a different vibe. You feel the tension, you feel everyone going for it, and we know that our fans are going to be there, sold out. I mean, one of my favorite moments was last year against Salt Lake in the playoffs. Obviously, just hearing the crowd noise, not only based on the performance and the result, but just being there and seeing everyone talk about that. And some of these games are cold, but our fans still show up, you know what I mean?
They're crazy.
And sell it out. You definitely see a couple shirtless people there still. And I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. So I think that environment and that pressure is what we all play for. And we know that we're 5 wins away from lifting a trophy. Yeah, pressure's a privilege. I do think the fans are crazy in the best way possible, because that Salt Lake game was freezing. But it was a blackout, and it was still probably the loudest I think I'd heard the stadium since my time here. So that was truly that was a fun night. But hopefully we can handle Seattle in 2, if not 3 games, and then after that takes us into international break. So usually you guys have been key members of your national team. So just take us very quickly, Dayne. Where are you guys going to be going or hosting in November? Yeah, we're hosting Ecuador and Toronto, and then we go to Miami to play Venezuela. So 2 tough games against South American opponents to kind of continue to help prepare us for the World Cup. And how is it like not necessarily playing quote unquote meaningful games? Is it difficult to kind of get up for it, or is it just, I'm playing for Canada and Toronto, or have the opportunity to do so? I'm always going to be excited, because for me, I could have played, when I played for Puerto Rico, different standard. But I could have been playing in Rochester, New York, and it was still always the biggest honor for me. Yeah, I think not only that, representing your country is always nice. I think playing in Canada in front of our home fans or our family, but also I know right now every game means something for me, fighting for this number 1 spot. So although they're considered friendlies, I think that's just a name, because we're really looking at them as preparation matches for what's coming in 6 months. Nice. And I know Jesse nothing's friendly with Jesse. You could be playing rock, paper, scissors, tic-tac-toe, and it's not friendly. Same question, Box?
yeah, obviously we qualified for the World Cup back in March, and yeah, we're just same as Canada, doing all we can to prepare for who we might face at the World Cup. Had European opposition last window, and we're playing Florida and New Jersey up against South American opposition.
Nice.
Ecuador and Colombia, I believe. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, that'll be a short flight, which will be, what the body needs this time of year compared to my usual, 20 to 30 hour travel.
Yeah.
We just played Colombia in New Jersey, and it was like playing in Medellin anyways. So prepare for a lot of yellow.
No, I mean, at every World Cup, you see those South American countries, they always get amazing support. I think it's probably a good thing I'm not fluent in Spanish, where you don't understand the abuse that's coming your way.
I'll translate.
So we just play Ecuador or Colombia, building towards the World Cup, and then I think December will be an exciting time when they make the draw and see who we're going to face next summer.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm looking forward to that, especially for you guys. But thank you guys so much for coming on this episode of Sound of the Loons podcast, brought to you by Line of Health. It's been a pleasure, as it always is, my friends. Thank you guys for dropping in. Go rest up, go get a good meal in, and get yourself as bestly ready as you can for the game against Seattle. We're going to need both of you. So thank you so much for coming on again.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Anytime,
guys.
mate.